Welcome to a lap of the 2026 Benidorm Cyclocross World Cup course. This is my first year riding the event, so it was really cool to check out the course. So the start is a really long tarmac drag, and then you kind of get to this first corner and you can see you go from the smooth tarmac to kind of like a loose, gravelly, sandy kind of texture. And then we're straight into this kind of rutted descent. It's not too bad, but there's a really sharp corner that you can see here at the bottom that I think is going to be really pivotal on the first lap because there's really only one line. Then you are straight back up this long drag. So there's a lot of climbing right off the start line. You can see here it kind of just keeps dragging up ever so slightly. So this is going to be pretty tough. This is going to be quite aggressive, especially with the field sizes we've got this year. So yeah, expect to see a lot of carnage up here on the first lap. But sometimes the climbs are quite nice because it actually allows us riders to kind of space out quite early on. And then this, it really kicks at the end, so you can see him having to like fight the bike to get over the top here. And then it kind of starts rolling quite nice and gentle down. Again, this is going to be really fast. I think it'll be a little bit of a speed limit on the first lap, especially with crossbike gearing. Only really so fast we can get the bikes up to. But yeah, really intense little start, but actually quite nice that there's no bottlenecks too early on. Now this is where it starts getting a bit more exciting. Again, we drop down here. And again, another really tight corner. And if you can overshoot this one, you might end up in that fence there. So it's going to be another speed limit kind of corner, but good fun. We then carry along this straight and it starts getting a little bit wet. So there's been quite a lot of rain this morning on the Saturday. And you can see here how that's affected the course. There's this massive puddle here. Now, what made this tricky was you actually can't see the lines underneath. So the puddle itself is absolutely fine to ride with, but you actually can't see where you're riding or what's underneath your wheel. So that might be quite tricky, but it's possible if it doesn't rain again that this is going to clear up. And again, a little drop down again, some tight corners, and then we're going to go back into some more of that puddle. Again, it's not too bad, it's just you have no idea where the line is, what you're riding on, and that makes it quite tricky. Then after this wet section, we have this kind of really slight downhill, which will be pretty fast, I reckon, on race day. You're then into another one of those really technical tight corners that you can see here. So it's kind of only one line at the moment, but I reckon first lap everyone's going to be taking whatever line they can find. We then have this kind of short, sharp kicker that you can see here. So it's taking, again, a little bit of effort to climb up it. Goes on just that little bit longer than you like, and probably where riders are kind of going to get away on that first lap. You then turn onto the road and you then have this kind of quite fast tarmac descent. You can see just how many riders are out on course today. So at the bottom of this road we then have a roundabout, which we go right round and then we are straight back up again. Yeah, it's going to be quite punchy again, like quite nice, a good chance for people to get round, move up, or just suffer. Then as we get to the top of this road section, we have this tight little corner here, and you can see where they've kind of filled it in so there's not too much of a lip. And then again, this is ever so slightly downhill, so it's quite a fast section. It looked quite plain and easy, but actually with the speed you're carrying here, the next few corners are actually really quite technical and quite tricky. So you can see here that most of us aren't pedaling because it's quite fast. Then we're into this corner here, which again, at the speed you're going at is pretty quick. And then this one was really greasy too. Again, lots of line choices, quite nice, wide and open. Yeah, one more corner here. Again, nice line choices. And then you're back onto a road section, which is actually quite slippy and quite lethal due to the rain. I actually came off on this on one lap in my course practice. And then after this, you're here to the first passage of the pits. So yeah, the pits are quite hard pack and fast, so you don't want to be pitting because you're going to lose a lot of time if you are pitting. At the moment, the bikes don't seem to pick up enough to be warranting pits, but again, anything could happen by tomorrow. We're now onto this kind of grassy, muddy section. Like there actually is a little bit of mud on the course due to that rain. Whether this will dry up before tomorrow, we'll find out tomorrow morning. And again, like you can see there's a lot of these transitions from the grass to the tarmacs. Here you can see we go under the bridge, which is for the spectators, which is quite cool. past the podium on the left here, and then we're back onto the slippy grass again. So again, a little bit of an off camber, but not too bad, but it does make these corners at the end quite interesting, and you can see a lot of these corners are cutting up and there's kind of a rut forming on most of the lines, as most of the riders are pretty much taking the same line. So you can see everyone here is just trying to stick to the main line here. And still slightly off camber before we go around this corner, which is a little bit tricky. So again, it's quite slippy today, might be drier tomorrow and might be a bit faster, but then this bit's all right, just kind of following the line here. We then come off this little lip here that you can see, and then you are straight into the sand pit. So you can see there's a really big rut there. Now it's quite a long sand pit, but the good thing about it is it's quite hard packed, like the sand's really quite easy to ride through. So even though it's so long, you can see this one line is really easy to ride, and even when you flick off the line, still quite easy, so that's not too bad, and I don't think it'll be too decisive tomorrow just because how easy it is today for everyone to get through. And again, a few more little tricky corners. Now again, you have to kind of see me pushing the bike there to get around, and then another one, and then it drops kind of back down again. This section then rolls downhill slightly, so again, another little fast section. Now there's this kind of lump here where you can see the fans are trying to get the riders to whip. We'll see who plays tomorrow in the actual race itself. And then this is where we're going into another little tricky section here. So this corner's not too bad, but there's really only one line that riders are using to kind of stay high, so you don't lose too much elevation then into that. And you can see it's really actually a little bit punchy there, so having to again really push the bike to get around it. And this next section is kind of a rut, which again everyone is taking. The rider in front of me unfortunately did make a little bit of a mistake, so made it a little tricky, so I came out of that line and really had to rag the bike to get it up this. But if you can commit and follow the rut, it's not too bad. I think the line under the rut's probably okay, but not many riders are currently using it. We'll see what people are doing tomorrow when the race happens. And this is slightly uphill, not too bad, and then a few more little switchback corners, so they really have made the most of the course we've got. Into the hurdles, which it's hard to tell here, but these are slightly uphill, so I don't think as many riders as normal will be hopping. Not quite to ball level, but not easy at all. And straight off the hurdles, we're then into this little bridge, which also has some AstroTurf on it, which is quite interesting. Like we normally see mats. Again, quite interesting to see. All good fun. Nice little corner off it. Again, you can really see the line everyone is taking on this course. Again, we have another corner which really just has that one line choice that most riders are using, but it's not too bad. A little bit slick, but then we're onto this kind of gravelly road here. I'm not sure if it's meant to be gravel or it's just like the conditions have been brought up from the other sections. Yeah, kind of nice downhill here again. But then again, some more tricky 180 corners. So this, again, it's kind of a bit of a camber. Not too bad, but it is cutting up a little bit. Might dry out, might get worse. And again, this, if you take the outside line, it's quite nice. That inside line you can see has really gotten cut up. And this is another little off-camber section. So again, trying to take that wide line to make the most of the course. You can see then we're into that first staircase. It's not too bad, but will force you to get off the bike and run a little bit. I find with these staircases it's easier to just shoulder the bike. It feels long enough to just get it up on the shoulder rather than make my arm strain too much. Now this section's been really interesting. I've seen a lot of riders have done this quite a lot. It's basically the one point of the course which the mud is picking up. Now I quite like the high line here, so you can see I've gone really high to kind of give myself that height to slip down. And you'll see there's then these rutted lines here, so I've committed to this top rut, which was alright. Wow, you could keep yourself clipped in. See, rider there has made a little bit of mistakes, so I've had to like drop down into some of the other lines. I found if I scooted along that wasn't too bad, but again, if you stay high, you can then get most of the way down and start pedaling again. So I'd get to about here and then I'd be able to pedal. Might be a run if this actually dries out a little bit more in terms of getting a bit claggier and stickier, but at the moment I think it was a bit of a mixed bag of who was riding, who was running it. Again, it's the day before, so the course can change, but this just gives you a good indication of what the course might look like tomorrow. This again was really slippy as well, so you can see this is a section that's really taken the battering from the rain this morning. This low line wasn't too bad. I found I could get enough grip and actually pedal along it rather than have to scoot, and then I stayed low here to kind of really take this wide line around this corner. Again, it's a little bit greasy and a bit slippy because of the rain. Probably going to be easier to ride tomorrow, but we'll just see when we get there. You then come around this corner and you're into this kind of sandpit. Now it's quite dry, pretty solid, so it's not too much of a feature, but you can see there's just those two lines which I think most riders will be using because that's where it's hard pack. You then come out of that little sand pit and you are to the second pass of the pits, which to be honest is really close to the finish. You can see I waved to Jonah, just let him know that I'm alright. And there we go, you can see the water from the pits there. And we're coming up to the last few corners here. So we've got this corner here, little straight, and we actually have a staircase onto the finish again this year. So it kind of gives me like Deegan vibes. So yep, around this corner into a staircase. Again, I opt to shoulder the bike just because of how long the staircase is. And rather than making myself tired trying to carry it, just up the shoulder. And then we're back onto the bike. Tiny little lip there, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And then this is your final corner. And then again, you can see the course really climbs after this. And it's just a kick up to the finish and then you're done.
State of the bike is a little bit muddy. Shoes are pretty bad. Not bad overall. We'll see how it goes tomorrow.